Well, hello and good morning. Welcome back to San Antonio, Texas campus of Trinity University, where we have the rubber match of the three-game series between the Babson Beavers and the Trinity Tigers. Ryan Figert here, joined this morning by Sam McWhirter. And Sam, you've caught the first two games of this series. What do you expect from Game 3?
I expect a really tight one. I think probably a bit less of a pitcher's duel than we saw yesterday, to the extent that yesterday was a pitcher's duel. We've got two former relievers on the mound, both for Babson and for Trinity. Cardone for Trinity, and then Noki for Babson. I think that whichever offense takes off early is going to have a big advantage because they'll be able to pitch from ahead, maybe throw some lower leverage guys in, and then close this thing out on the back half. But it's going to be two really talented teams. We've seen that all weekend. Babson seems like they deserve their number 6. Trinity was undefeated up until that point in the season. They certainly deserve their number 2. These are just two very, very good teams going at it.
Yeah, absolutely. The 8-game winning streak to start the season, the longest in recorded history for Trinity baseball, is going back to '99. Searching the website, looking for that type of winning record. It's been a terrific start to the year, taking a couple of ranked victories, including the one to open this series, and we'll have Sam take you through the Beavers starting lineup.
Yeah, we're going to start off with Thomas LaFamme, Matt Sullivan, Sean Harrington. That's unchanged, although Harrington moves over to the DH. And then Oliger, he had a pretty bad game yesterday. He's going to be looking to bounce back today. Matthew Valente, Aiden Scott, who comes in to replace Harrington as the catcher. Then Alex DiMartini, Jack Ward, and then the new shortstop, Stephen McClendon, who comes in for Jack Perkle.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, on the mound for the Beavers is going to be Michael Noki, who pitched against Trinity last year. We'll get to that when we see him later on. The starting lineup for Trinity is going to be Herrera, Chamet, Meredith, Goodrich, Vonderar, Pettit, Wisniewski, McDonald, and Montreza, as we are all set to get underway here. First pitch is going to be on its way shortly from Brian Cardone, the redshirt junior from Katy, Texas. Fires in for the opening strike of the ball game.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see what Trinity is able to get for Cardone. Actually hasn't pitched yet this season and has pitched only sparingly in past seasons. As far as I know from previous seasons, fastball, curveball type of guy. Be interesting to see what his repertoire is like as a starter tonight.
Yeah, like you said, it's been plenty of time since we've seen him on the mound. Technically listed as an infielder on the Tigers roster, and he misses for ball 2. Count runs to 2-1 now against Thomas LaFamme. The shortstop leading off for the Beavers today, wearing the 5. The Beavers in the green with the gray pants, and sends this one into second baseman. Simple put out for Trinity, out number 1.
Yeah, decent little play there by Montreza, and the fastball pounding down in the zone for Cardone eventually works out. Able to get that ground out. It seemed like he was pressing for, and now has to face two of the most talented hitters on the Babson roster.
Yeah, and certainly in the New England area as well. Babson advancing beyond the New England Regional last year all the way to the College World Series. And these two guys, Matt Sullivan, Sean Harrington, as well as the cleanup hitter today, Jake Oliger, a big part of that with their contributions at the plate. Oliger, the one getting the plaudits named third-team All-Region. We'll see him potentially in this inning, but you said he's been off to a little bit of a slow start in this series.
Yeah, certainly. Shown some swing and miss, but also some power. We've seen him hit some balls deep that just managed to catch fielders, as that's a really nice pitch there by Cardone, stealing a strike up in the zone with the breaking ball.
Sullivan with a good start to his season here in San Antonio, in .333 with 4 RBI already. And this one comes off the handle of the bat, and a great play made by Wisniewski at third base to get his man. 2 down now for Cardone.
Yeah, beautiful piece of defense there from Wisniewski, who's been moved over from second during this series. And we're going to see this one again. Watch the quick reactions there. Gets the first step and a leaping play. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, Wisniewski listed at 6 foot. I think that might have been generous from the training office at the start of the year, but he certainly made all of his frame reaching up to grab that one and putting the batter out. Now Sean Harrington, who, as you can see, is on a tear to start the season. OPS at 1.245 and a 500 average. The catcher is DHing today after 2 straight days behind the plate, so we'll get to focus on his contributions at the plate.
Yeah, not too dissimilar to the type of role that maybe Michael Goodrich had last season for the Tigers, in that the bat is just so good that you've got to keep it in the lineup even when he is maybe unable to catch for 3 days straight.
Good start continues for Cardone. He gets the strike on the inside fastball. And he gets a swing here from Harrington. This one's sent back and deep into right field. And I believe, honestly, I don't know what to believe. I think it's going to be a home run here.
Yeah, I think that is unfortunately off the screen in right field. So no one's windshield broken, but we're going to take another look at this one.
Yeah, he certainly got all of it. And he drove it all the way back over Chamette's head and off the national championship banner out in right, just over the 360 sign. Chamette tried to sell it. Good effort from him.
Yeah, but that's twice now in this inning that Cardone has gotten tagged. Didn't get punished for it the first time because Wisniewski made a great play, but then gets punished harshly for that mistake over the plate to Harrington.
And now he faces Jake Oliger, who at 344 last season is at 316 in his career for Babson, and is sitting right now on 99 RBI, looking to get into the century category for his career. Cardone just looking to get out of the first. He gets another swing, and he gets a pop-up here from Jake Oliger. This one's sent into shallow left field. And the play is going to be made by McDonald. So the Tigers give up one on the home run. And that's it for Cardone, as the Trinity Bats will be right up in just a moment. Going to be Herrera to lead off here for Trinity, facing off against Michael Noki, the junior, as a junior, faced Trinity in the opening series last season, and he appeared in the Babson victory. We got the no decision with 7 strikeouts and just 1 earned run over 6 2/3 innings. So he was very successful, and what eventually was a Beavers success. See if he can bring that same level here in his senior season, as he faces off against Herrera for the first time in his career, and Herrera takes him into center field for a single.
Yeah, good solid piece of hitting by Herrera, but this is a mistake by Noki. Left that a little bit too much over the plate, and it's a good job by Herrera getting his arms extended, but ultimately I think the command is going to be the factor for Noki today. We know he has the strikeout stuff. Struck out 45 in 47 innings last year for that 3.45 ERA he had over the season. It's just a matter of whether he can place the ball where he wants it. And if he can do that, I think he'll be relatively successful. Obviously, this is a very good lineup, so getting out of it perfectly clean is always going to be an incredibly tall task.
Schmidt takes inside for 2-0, and Herrera has to be careful. I'm sure he will have done his homework on Noki, but he has a good pickoff move. He was very successful in getting runners off of first base last season, including in the regional to go to the College World Series. But there's a second straight single for Trinity to start the bottom half of the first, trying to answer the 1 run put up by Babson in the top half of the inning. Some solid hitting early here from Trinity, wearing the maroon tops with the pinstripe pants. I think it's the usual Sunday fit for them at this point.
Yeah, certainly one of my favorite uniform combinations.
Of which there are many.
Certainly.
Including the Matt Thomas.
I mean, we've got the buttons today. We'll see.
That one drops in for a strike against Mason Meredith, hitting .350 in the opening 9 games of the season. Has 1 home run and 8 runs batted in. One of the Tigers seniors looking to lead his team offensively, and he's done so far. This one's sent over to third. Potential double play ball. Is going to have to hurry out of the box. I think they're going to say foul ball. And we'll see why here. It just comes off the foot of Meredith, and he'll be feeling that one.
Yeah, tough break for him.
Now behind in the count, 0-2, runners on first and second. And Noki comes and deals. That one's off the end of the bat from Meredith.
I think that almost hit one of our cameramen.
That one high and outside from Noki, so it runs to 1-2. And this one's sent over towards the second baseman. It's just out of his reach. This may score Herrera. And the Tigers do respond in the bottom half of the first. In business here. Still nobody out. 1-1. As Meredith gets the RBI single. 3 straight one-baggers to start off for the Tigers.
Yeah, Noki's certainly looking like he doesn't have his best stuff right now. And leaving another one just too far over the plate with the fastball that doesn't have the same tailing life that we saw from it last year. And again, all of these Babson pitchers, this is the start of their season for many of them. It's the first time they've had live game action. So you would expect most of them to not quite be at their best, but certainly not for Noki yet, although he's going to get Goodrich as he moves the runners over.
Yeah, decent bunt there from the designated hitter for Trinity. An interesting call nonetheless in the first inning. One of your best hitters at the plate just to move the runners over, but everyone's going to be crucial here against Noki, who was able to hold the Tigers to just 1 over almost 7 innings last season.
Yeah, and that almost looked like a split-second player decision from my point of view, so might be just Goody taking it upon himself to move the runners over for Jack Vonderhaar, who, by the way, before last game was closer to hitting 500 than to hitting 400.
He's had a terrific start to the season in the middle of the Tigers' batting order. And it'll be a great time for him to continue what he's been able to do from the left-hander's batter's box. This one's sent out
That's hit pretty
into
hard.
the gap, and it's going to go all the way back for the right fielder. Eventually brought in, but because of Goodrich's sacrifice bunt, that brings the lead over to Trinity. Sac fly from Jack Vonderhaar, 2-1 to the Tigers.
Yeah, one of my favorite plays in baseball, as many people know, the sac fly. And you can tell he's looking to get under that one. Doesn't quite get all of the breaking ball, but he does just enough. Almost sends it over the fences, but the runners go, and it's pretty comfortable.
You have to say he got about 355 feet out of 360. We saw a home run over that fence in the top half of the first. Here's a man who had a home run already in the series. Tyler Pettit had a double as well in yesterday's game. He's been another one in the middle of the Tiger order that's bringing it at the plate, in addition to his terrific defense behind it. He was a guy that we talked about in the early days of the season as one that, you know, if you get 250 from him, in addition to his terrific defense behind the plate, you're going to be happy. Well, he's hitting 364 at the moment, so you have to say very pleased with what he's been able to do.
Yeah, I mean, for stretches of this season, he's been the Tigers' most important player, just with all of the different contributions he's been able to make, and especially with this pitching staff.
Chance here to grab a third run here in the bottom of the first for Trinity, as Mason Meredith awaits on third base. 2 outs for Pettit. Now he's behind in the count as well. And he's going to get rung up here. Strikes out looking to end the inning, but not before. Trinity grabs a couple of runs on 3 hits, and they leave one on third base. We'll be right back with you as the Tigers lead 2-1 heading into the second inning. Cardone keeps his place on the mound for Trinity after giving up the home run in the first inning. Besides that, made pretty quick work of the Beavers. Got swings on most everything, and he's certainly not a strikeout pitcher. He's going to rely a little bit on the Tiger defense this morning.
No, the command has been solid for him so far, and to this point it's been his bread and butter. The deception, I think, is maybe not quite there for him. For some of these better hitters, like Harrington, just seemed like he was seeing the ball so well out of his hand. But if he's able to mix in that curveball and maybe have a kind of an even 50-50 mix of those two pitches, he may be able to just generate enough weak contact to get him through several innings. And as a Tiger fan, that's really all you can ask of him, as he gifts a leadoff walk here to Matthew Valente.
Yeah, Valente sees 4 pitches, all miss from Cardone, and now he stands on Jack Von Der Aar's first base. And that brings up Aiden Scott. He digs in from the left side of the plate. We saw over the break the flags blowing out in center field, so maybe a factor. As you mentioned last night, the wind doing its best to keep things in the park. Certainly not the case today. See if anyone can give a ball a ride.
Scott has done a pretty good job of it. It's going to be a line drive, but Chomet just boots it, and that is going to score one, it looks like.
Yeah, you mentioned the hesitation from Chomet in the corner. He didn't field it cleanly, and I think that cost the run, or at least cost them a chance at getting the runner at home. So an RBI double that time from Aiden Scott as he shot that one into the corner. And this one is all tied. We expected we might see quite a few runs today, and it's already living up to that in the early couple of innings between these two nationally ranked opponents.
Yeah, and you can see it's a close play at the plate, so that one probably gets charged to the right fielder, maybe not officially, but certainly in the minds of the public eye. That's another one hit out pretty hard, but McDonald deals with it well. And Cardone is not doing a great job limiting the hard contact so far. That's probably 5 balls that he's gotten tagged on to this point. And this is in that weird in-between range for McDonald.
Yeah, good work from him on the knee slide to bring it in. And Cardone's going to get a visit here just to discuss, I think, some of those things you're talking about, giving up so much contact. He did a good job in the first inning outside of the home run of keeping it on the ground for the most part. That's already 2 line drives into the outfield now in the second. And just one away with a runner in scoring position. The Tiger lead is under threat. Well, it's already gone. Now Babson looking to get a lead of their own.
Would love to be a fly on the mound, so to speak, and listen in on that conversation. And it didn't look quite like an ultimatum, but you have to think that Trinity has at least thought about, if not already gotten somebody up in the bullpen just as a precaution.
Yeah, Trinity using 8 pitchers over the first 2 games. See who maybe from the first game would be available to come back into this one. Matt Thomas, one you're maybe looking at for later on. A Tiger saves leader. I'd love to have an opportunity to bring him in a winning position. A lot of baseball to be played before that, though. Others that appeared in the first game, Carter Frank and Brandon Hance. Corey Cater got the start and went 4 in that one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we end up seeing someone like a Samuel Conte today, just in a different role than he's been in earlier in the season. Obviously, he had that one start that went poorly during the Endicott series, but if the coaching staff still has any trust in his abilities, maybe a guy they use as a long reliever to bridge the gap. Maybe he gets 4 innings or so to try and hand this thing to Thomas with a close lead or being just a run behind or so. Cardone seems to me like he's settled down slightly, but I'm still not fully on board. Especially the fastball not quite looking like it has the zip today, although that's a great pitch.
There you go. Cardone gets his first strikeout of the game, first strikeout of the season on the breaking ball.
Tell you what, this takes some cojones right there. That is right down the middle of the plate.
And he gets Jack Ward out looking, and now there's 2 away with the runner on second base, and the game tied up at 2 apiece. Stephen McClendon getting his first at-bat of the season. First-year New Hampshire native. Looks at that offering from Cardone and takes ball 1. Quick check of the runner there from Cardone, and he comes and deals, gets a strike on the outside part of the plate. Certainly going to be some emotions running through the head of the hitter here. His first collegiate at-bat. That one drops just below the knees for ball 2.
Yeah, certainly you'd have to think there are some nerves present going up against the number 2 team in the country. That is right at the knees.
Good pitch that time from Cardone. Brings it to 2-2. McClendon listed as a pitcher/infielder, similar to his opposite number in this situation, Cardone. Check of the runner once again, and the 2-2 is going to be a swinging strike 3. They're going to have to go through and get the runner at first base, but they do so, and the lead evaporates in the top half of the second. It's 2-2 as we head into the bottom half of the frame. We'll be right back with you on the Tiger Network. So it'll be the bottom of the order due up here for Trinity in a 2-2 ball game with the number 6 Babson College Beavers. Wisniewski leads off in the bottom of the second. And Michael Noki keeps his place on the mound for the visitors. Wisniewski already made a terrific contribution with a leaping stop at third base defensively. See what he can bring to the plate in his first appearance of the morning.
Yeah, so far this season, the Wizard of Jack, as he's called, has been good with the glove and good without the gloves on the batter's box. So see if he can keep that going here today. Had a couple of nice hits yesterday, and even some balls that were just foul but were absolutely crushed to opposite field. And you can see he makes a concerted effort, especially against right-handers like Noki, who have that two-seam sort of action falling away to the arm side on the fastball. He's going to try and push this one into left field if he can. Won't need to, though.
Good patient leadoff action that time from Wisniewski. Takes the walk, just as Babson had in the top half of the second. Leadoff base runner from a base on balls. That brings up McDonald, who has already made his mark in this series with a big home run. Pflugerville, Texas native, hitting .353 as he didn't start the season getting consistent time, but he's worked his way into the lineup and has made left field his own. You can see the mud left on his left shin from the sliding play he made earlier in the game. This one fouled straight back. 0-2 count now for the Tiger left fielder.
Yeah, McDonald has been someone who has really impressed me thus far on the season. Like you said, he worked his way into playing time and really has nailed down the spot just about as much as you can nail down a spot on this really talented Tiger roster.
Yeah, what he's done has reminded me a little bit of what Jack Vonderhaar did in the early stages of last season. And not only just because he came into left field, but because he brought that pop off the bat in the middle/bottom of the lineup that Trinity really needed at that point. And McDonald's been able to do the same thing this year, but not this time as he's called out on strikes after 4 pitches. Noki's second strikeout looking of the morning.
That'll bring up Michael Montreza, who got a start last night, or I guess last afternoon, if we're being perfectly correct. Did some decent work with the bat, was solid at second. See what he can bring here today.
What do you mean we aren't always perfectly correct?
I'd certainly like to think so.
All right, even the umpires think they're perfectly correct too, so. Montreza took strike one. And Noki really worried about Wisniewski over at first. Mentioned he came in relief in the final game of the regional last year and picked off the runner, and that ended the game. That was a spectacular way to send his team to the World Series, where they won one game but were eventually knocked out by Johns Hopkins, who then lost to Birmingham Southern, who then lost to Chapman. And that is the conversation that this Trinity team wants to be a part of come the end of the season. They want to make that 50-game minimum run in 2020 and get back to the successes of the 2016 team. As that looked like maybe a hit and run was put on, and it just went awry, to say the least. As Montreza tried to get something on it, and Wisniewski was thrown out, comfortably stealing second.
Yeah, that's out by a mile as far as those things are concerned, which are usually a matter of fractions of a second and inches.
Really good play made at first base, and the flip to Noki at first, and the Tigers go scoreless despite the leadoff walk from Wisniewski in the bottom of the second. That one coming off the end of the bat from Montreza. Terrific play made by Matthew Valente, and we will see Babson come up to bat here for the top half of the third inning. Score still tied at 2. See the Tigers' upcoming schedule on your screen as they will travel to Hardin-Simmons on March the 3rd, and then some spring break games against New Jersey City, amongst others, in conference not too far away from kicking off after that, as Cardone fires high against Thomas LaFamme. And LaFamme dribbles this one off the mound and hops past Herrera and Montreza into the outfield for a leadoff single. Both teams consistently getting that leadoff man on base, which has led to a couple of runs apiece. Trinity blinked in the bottom of the second. First time either team has done that in the early stages of this one.
And that one was right off the end of the bat. And with any other placement, probably could have been played pretty comfortably by the infield, but instead another blemish on the record. And up comes Matt Sullivan, who has shown a propensity to swing and miss on the good stuff, as you see it right there, but has also shown that he has some real power when he's able to get those long levers extended. Sullivan, of course, 6'3", listed at 223 pounds, which seems perhaps a tad on the heavy side, but he's certainly got that power, as a good steal attempt by LaFamme, and Pettit has to rush into a throw because the ball's in the dirt.
Now the leadoff runner on second base after the steal from LaFamme. Matt Sullivan didn't appear in his first season. At least didn't get a plate appearance for Babson. He's hit 3 for 9 in this series so far with a double and 4 RBI, but like you said, 4 strikeouts as well.
Certainly got that, I won't quite say true 3 outcome type of player, because in college that's pretty rare, but he's certainly got the power that that phrase brings to mind.
And there's going to be strikeout number 5 of the early season for him, as Cardone gets another one looking.
Yeah, and it's that same breaking ball right over the plate, really challenging the hitters to take a stab at it, and so far mostly unscathed by that particular pitch. But if he tries it against Sean Harrington, he might be in a spot of trouble, as this guy is seeing the ball out of everyone's hand.
Yeah, Harrington with the career average of .316, the on-base percentage almost at .500 in his career, .486. He is certainly a patient hitter at the plate, and the way he's seeing the ball right now, he's getting pretty much anything that he wants from the Tiger pitching. Had 41 walks last season and 48 hits. And Cardone, I think, rightfully being very careful with how he pitches to him after a big home run in the first inning. Don't want to leave anything out over the plate for this man. And that one comes off the end of the bat from Harrington, sent down the left field line, and it's going to be a sliding play that just can't quite come up with. McDonald looks like he maybe overran it and had to dive back towards the foul line. That was a chance to get a terrific batter out in foul territory, and one that hopefully the Tigers won't rue. Tough play to make, but looks like he just overran it. Now 1-2 for Harrington. Runner on second and one away here in the third inning. Another one fouled off from the designated hitter for Babson.
It's a really interesting battle here. I'd expect a change-up down.
And he's going to get a ground ball over to first, flips to Cardone. That moves the runner. And despite the ball popping out of Cardone's glove, they're going to say that he got him. So Harrington goes down. See, the interesting aspect of this comes after the ball arrives in Cardone's glove. Makes the play and makes the transfer. Not so much. Pops out.
You know,
Brian, you're meant to be an infielder.
That's what I was going to say. He used to be an infielder. Maybe that's why he's a pitcher now.
Jake Oliger, the Newtown, Connecticut native, is looking to shake his early season struggles here against Trinity. Got a runner in prime position to grab the lead back for the Beavers. Waiting on third base is Thomas LaFemme.
Yeah, I think calling it a bad start might be underselling it, actually, for Oliger. Takes a pitch there, but we've seen him hit some balls pretty hard, but without result at all. Not been a good one.
Yeah, he's reached base twice in the series, both from walks. And that's going to make it 3 walks now, as Cardone can't find the plate on 4 straight pitches. And for a man who's hitting 0-0-0, he'll be happy to find himself over on first base. Runners at the corners now for Cardone to deal with, if it is in fact him.
I would imagine it isn't, and there you have confirmation. So let's see, who might this be coming in from the bullpen? Wouldn't be surprised to see Samuel Conti. Instead, we're going to see Brandon Hance, who pitched obviously on the Friday night game, the sidearm righty.
And he's got a situation to contend with. Runners on the corners, and Babson threatening to go back out in front here in the top of the third. We'll let Hance get his warm-up tosses in, and we'll be right back with you on the Tiger Network. It'll be Matthew Valente to face off against Brandon Hance. Runners on the corners for Babson. 2 gone here in the third. And the sidearm motion from the righty is in there for strike one.
Yeah, that was a nice little pitch there from him. When he's on, he can get a little bit more vertical with his movement. You saw it there on the first pitch. You know, as things go, not too weird a delivery for a sidearmer, but it obviously still is a sidearm delivery, and with this righty-on-righty matchup, you'd expect advantage Hance, as that one is weakly grounded, and it should be dealt with. It is not. Montreza misses it. And a couple of defensive mistakes have really cost the Tigers here so far.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the replay on this one, see if Montreza takes a step the wrong way, because it's really not hit hard. If this one could have been taken in by Vonderar potentially. No, it looks like it is Montreza's ball.
Yeah, it seems like the jump just not quite there. And again, it's a tough play, so you don't want to toss too much on him, but I think it's not unfair to classify that one as a bit of a mistake. We're going to get a short little conference here, Hance and Pettit, about how to attack Aiden Scott, and I would imagine this is almost certainly relating to something that Pettit saw in the first at-bat that he would like Hance to be going after, just so that they're both clear on the plan.
Yeah, Scott sent the double, RBI double down the right field line. And Hance might be a matchup that Scott likes, coming from the low arm angle.
Yeah, and especially if everything is moving horizontally, it's just coming right into the hands, and you might be able to pull the ball with some power. Hance, though, really seems to be making a concerted effort to work low in the zone.
Yeah, and he was fairly effective coming in Friday night. Just gave up the one hit in an inning pitch facing the four batters. Already given up one hit in this one, and it cost the Tigers as Babson takes a 3-2 lead here.
Yeah, he faced four. All four made contact, but most of it nice and weak. And that is certainly not out of the ordinary for what you would expect if you're looking at a good sidearm reliever.
Another one just chopped foul down the first base line. Oliger on second now. With Valente on first, as LaFamme was the one that came around to score here in the third. Hance's delivery just missing that one a little bit too high, potentially, on the outside part of the plate.
It's been really in and around the zone, though, here.
And a big pitch coming now, full count for Hance. And Aiden Scott is going to get the bat on this one, but it's sent right at Montreza. Didn't have to move for that one. He sends it over to Vonderar at first, but not before Babson grabs a run and grabs the lead here in the top of the third. We'll see what Trinity can do to respond. You're watching the Tiger Network, 3-2 Babson. Top of the order due up for Trinity here in the bottom of the third. They find themselves trailing by 1 after Babson regained the lead in the third in what's been a back and forth battle so far against two of the nation's top ranked teams. Noki still out on the mound for Babson, doing a decent job, especially in that second inning, holding Trinity scoreless. And gets a big cut in the miss and an Adrian Beltre-like drop to the knee.
And just to speak about Noki a little bit more, he certainly seems to have settled into this game, at least to a certain extent. Again, this is a very dangerous lineup that he's facing, so any mistake could be punished and probably will be punished, but it seems like he has a little bit more bite on the breaking ball than he did at the start of the outing. The command on the fastball is a little bit better as Herrera fouls one, I think, off of his own knee.
Yeah, it looked like he really took that one. He heard his yell. Second time that Tigers have hit their own foot.
They'll be getting in the ice baths tonight, that's for sure.
The senior transfer shortstop digs in here with a 2-2 count. And he takes inside. Patient work from him at the plate. Now works the count full. And that's going to be a leadoff walk for Herrera, who's now, he keeps his 1-for-1. He's reached base both times to lead off the first and the third. Tigers got 3 consecutive singles in the first inning that led to those 2 runs. Chamet, one of them, as he's poised to step in now against Noki.
Chamet really having a nice weekend, digging himself out of a hole from earlier in the season that we always knew he would come out of, just too talented a player not to. Just a matter of when those hits would start dropping in.
Yeah, it's similar to what Babson is experiencing, I think, with one of their best hitters, in Jake Oligert, who, with that high of a career batting average, over 300, starting the season 0 for 10, it's just not something you'd expect. And Rafe had some struggles early on as well. He's started to come good now, especially in this series, as he works the count into a very favorable 3-0.
And you definitely weren't swinging on that, really, no matter what it was, given what had happened with Herrera in the at-bat before. Want to make this guy throw some strikes. That is a swing, and it could be a double play ball, and it looks like it will be a double play ball. And that's unfortunate there.
Noki able to erase the leadoff walk, and now there are 2 away quickly here in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, and that one seemed like it might have been dipping out of the zone. So what could have been 2 men on base turns into 0 and 2 outs as we get Mason Meredith up the plate.
One comes in high from Noki. Tigers haven't been able to get anything going with 2 outs so far in this game, 0 for 2. Babson 2 of 5 with 2 outs, which led to the 3rd run in the top of this inning. And that one's going to be shot up the middle for a 2-out single for Mason Meredith. Would have been nice to have Herrera, maybe even Chamet, on the base paths alongside him, but the double play prevents that, and it's going to have to be a 2-out rally for Trinity now as Goodrich comes to the plate.
And Goodrich really hasn't had a chance to properly face Noki. Had the sacrifice bunt, but only saw one pitch on it. So this really the first legitimate at bat that he's had against the right-hander. And he hits that one pretty hard out into left, but it's just too high, and it is not going to drop in, so we end the inning.
Yeah, DiMartino comes in from left and makes the play, and Meredith is stranded on first base, and Babson keeps the lead at 3-2 at the end of 3. We'll be right back with you on the Tiger Network. Brandon Hance back out there on the mound for Trinity, who trail 3-2 in the top of the 4th against Babson College, as DiMartino, who just caught Michael Goodrich's flyout in left field, steps in. Senior batting .250 in the early season. Second straight year that Babson have come to town to start off their campaign. Last year, they lost the series 2-1, and they won the middle game, and that's what Trinity will hope to replicate today. It was a 9-4 Trinity success in Game 3 last year, as Babson ran out of steam on the mound. Noki, who goes today, went in the 6-5 win in Game 2 last year for the Beavers. Tigers started with Cardone on the mound today and now moved to Hance as his pitch is sent out deep into right field, but it's right at Chamet for out number 1.
Yeah, and that gets Hance through what could have been a spot of bother in this lineup with Scott and DiMartino, the two left-handers, up. Theoretically, other than Harrington, the most awkward at-bats that he should face should have a pretty clear advantage against especially some of these guys at the bottom of the lineup like Ward, McClendon, those right-handers where his arm slot is going to be very awkward. That, though, is a pretty clear mistake.
Yeah, just gets that one wrong. Comes off the calf of the batter. And Jack Ward now stands on first base after he was hit by the pitch. Second collegiate at-bat now for Stephen McClendon, who went down looking against Cardone in his first appearance. Now looks at a much different task in facing Brandon Hance. It's behind that one for strike 1.
Certainly getting a lot more swinging strikes than he got in his outing on Friday. And the deception seems to be a lot more present. Obviously, he's made the mistake with a hit batter, but a lot more vertical movement placing the pitches where it seems like he wants to for the most part, as that is a very nice pitch that just drops into that top left corner of the zone.
Hance now ahead in the count 1-2 with the runner on first base. And another one fouled off the foot, this time of a Babson player. It's been a regular occurrence so far early in this game.
Something that happens quite a bit more often when you have that sinker action coming from the righty-on-righty matchups or the lefty-on-lefty ones, as you can get that just off of the place where the handle transitions into the barrel. Spray it back towards yourself, and that is going to be a nice little strikeout there for Brendan Hance.
Yeah, 0 for 2 now. 2 strikeouts for McClendon as he was nowhere near that one, really. And Thomas LaFamme comes up now with 2 outs and a runner on first.
And that is about as sharp as the breaking ball will look there for Hance. Really nice one. You can see as it gets that diagonal dip. That's what's really important for him. Gets it again, and this should be fairly easily dealt with, but no one is going to get to it.
And McDonald pulled up limping there as well, so that one drops in between the out-rushing infielder and the in-rushing outfielder. And Trinity haven't been credited with any errors in this game, but their defense has been far from airtight.
Certainly not been the best, and this one I just thought was going to be pretty easily handled. It looks like McDonald takes a bit of a circuitous route to it and then maybe gets called off. I'm not really sure. Maybe he just at that point had already tweaked the hamstring. Either way, that is likely to go down as a hit, but it extends the inning.
Brings up Matt Sullivan now. The long arms and the angled batting stance, which points the bat out towards the mound. Was late to that one and is now behind in the count 0-2. Babson looking to capitalize on a 2-out rally here. Now hitting .500 with 2 away. And it's not going to get the swing on that one from Sullivan. Well outside. Forces Pettit into the opposite batter's box.
And I think you just go right back to the slider here.
And he does, and it's a terrific pitch for a swinging strike 3. So the miscue defensively doesn't cost Trinity. We'll get another look at that one to end the inning. It stays 3-2 to the Beavers. Brandon Hance doing a terrific job here in the top of the 4th. Tiger Bats due up in just a moment. 5, 6, and 7 due up for Trinity here in the bottom of the fourth, still trailing by a run against the number 6 team in the country, Babson College. Tigers came into the weekend all the way up at number 2 in the polls. Dropped their first game of the season last night, coming now with an 8-1 record, looking to bounce back. Vonderhaar, one of the hottest Tiger bats at the moment, takes a pitch well high for a 1-1 count. Noki about to toss his 50th of the outing. And just for those wondering, it is now 12:06, so officially into afternoon territory to the 11 o'clock first pitch. And that is some high-level analysis from me.
Way this game is going, we may be able to get into evening baseball. We'll have to keep an eye on that. You know, Vonderhaar, for his part, has taken 3 pitchers almost deep over the course of this series. He's hit one ball, probably like, I want to say maybe like 370, hit another one, 350, hit that one in the sack fly about 355 as well. You just feel like it's coming for him at some point. The loud contact has been there, and today especially with the flags blowing straight out into center field. You never know, it might be time. It's not going to be this at bat though. Although that might have come off his foot, and I think we're going to get that one brought back.
He's going to get another 3-2 opportunity here as, yeah, again, bounces at least in the batter's box. Not sure about the foot.
Either way, foul ball, and he's going to face a full count and get another chance to send one. Does the same thing instead. Yeah.
See the chalk come up as that one hit the dirt. Really battling here to try and get on as the leadoff batter in the fourth.
That one's going to be inside, and he's going to get a walk, so Vonderhaar continues to produce, even though it's not going to show up in the batting average today, at least to this point. Gets on base for Tyler Pettit, and that has been a lethal combination so far for the Tigers. Vonderhaar, one of those RBI that Pettit was able to take when he sent one over the wall in center field in the Friday night game.
Yeah, second home run already of the early season. The Tigers have been hitting for power much better than they were able to last year, and it's going to be another potential double play ball. And they're going to say he didn't get him with the tag. We'll certainly have the replay for that. Almost the second straight inning that Trinity grounds into a double play.
And the umpires are going to have a conversation about this.
To my eye, which is a lot further away from theirs, I was going to say it looked like he got him on the tag, and I think the umpires now have come to that agreement.
Certainly looked like the right call in the moment. We'll get a chance to have some 20/20 hindsight, though, as this is certainly a close play, and I think you can see right there, taps him on the shoulder as he goes by, and cleanly out. So a good call from the official behind the plate, as that ball is well deep and barely got a chance to talk about it, but there's a man on second base now.
Yeah, Wisniewski with the big double now with 2 outs. Trinity looking to draw level with the Beavers. That one coming off the base of the wall out and left.
And I tell you what, Wisniewski is going to send one over that wall out and left. It's only 310. It's pretty tall, but He has been crushing balls to the opposite field, and one of those is going to go over eventually.
Chance now for Evan McDonald, hitting .333 on the season so far, 7 RBI. He's got a runner in scoring position here. Trinity have only had 2 of those opportunities so far in this game, and they're 1 for 2. They're going to have to be 1 for 1 now with 2 outs. They want to bring him around. Donald sends that one foul, levels up the count 1-1.
And for McDonald, still thinking about what seemed like that little hamstring tweak and whether it's still affecting him or if it was something minor that just had to be walked off. Doesn't seem to be showing any effects of it, but you never know if you're just still feeling that dull ache as you go to bat. That one is hit well enough into the gap, though, and that's easily going to score the runner. And this should be a double here for McDonald. But he's going to go and try and stretch it into a triple, and it's thrown away. And nearly he got all the way around on that one, but it just manages to bounce off the fence and right back to the third baseman. So a heck of a job by McDonald stretching that one out, who probably would have been safe anyway, even if the throw hadn't been off. But you got to take another look at this one. Right off the barrel of the bat. And no chance by either fielder.
Yeah, hamstring was looking good going around the bases there.
Yeah, certainly was. And you can see him make the decision right about halfway. And would have been a close play, but certainly safe. And then you can watch this one bounce off. Comes right back into the path of the third baseman and holds the runner there. But excellent piece of hitting. And it'll bring up Montreza.
Tigers now even 3-3 here in the bottom of the 4th. Montreza looking to continue this 2-out rally and maybe bring the lead back into Tiger hands. He sends this one down the third base line. Does that one stay fair? It does. And it's going to be a tough play for the left fielder to get there. An RBI hit nonetheless for Montreza. Make it a double. Bottom of the order producing here in the 4th. And now we're back up to Herrera.
Yeah, it looks like he gets slightly fortunate with this one. It's going to bounce off the bag, and so the third baseman is going to have no chance at it. Sprays it well into foul territory over to the Tiger bench. And as you mentioned, bottom of the lineup once again doing it. We've seen it happen multiple times, but once again starting with Vonderhaar, which has been the case so many times this season. And then the bottom of the lineup just taking it from there.
And they're going to be able to bounce Michael Noki from the game, who goes 3 2/3 and gives up 4 runs, all of them earned. Not quite as successful as he was last year against Trinity, but he's got Babson still within reach. Tigers threatening, though. Already out in front 4-3 and a runner on second base. We'll be right back with the new pitcher in just a moment. New man on the mound to face Michael Herrera is Hunter Salem, the senior from Florence, Massachusetts, making his 6th career appearance for Babson. And first pitch high for ball 1. He's dealing with Montreza at second base, and Herrera at the plate, who's 1 for 1, also has a walk.
Nice couple of pitches from him, and he has that high 3/4 type delivery. That's probably the most common delivery in the game. Gets out of the way of it as he moves over towards the first baseline. And that is absolutely gone.
To the warning
track. It isn't.
Herrera,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, Herrera gets the pop off the bat. He's already shown the power this season. That one just not quite enough.
I'm going to have to think and just sit and think and what about I've done. That was so loud off the bat. And the way he came out of the box. He's got 3 already this season. I thought that was number 4. That was either not enough loft on it or something.
Yeah, certainly the wind not coming to his aid despite blowing out towards center. But regardless, the Tigers reclaim the lead here in the 4th. They lead 4-3 after 4. We'll be right back in just a moment. So Brandon Hance keeps his place on the mound for Trinity. And why not? He's pitched very well since coming in. But he's got a tough task here against Sean Harrington, who is 1 for 2 with the solo home run in the 1st. It's his 4th RBI of the series. And Hance, whether purposefully or not, pitching around him here to start the 5th.
I think he's certainly going to be attacking the outside of the plate. Misses there, but gets the strike anyway.
And we'll get a look at the home run from back in the 1st. You see that one well over the 360 sign out and right, and this one's going to be sent out into the outfield as well. Meredith coming on, and that's his first defensive action of the game. Gets the put out on the fly out from Sean Harrington, now 1 for 3.
And this one I think just comes off the end of the bat for Harrington. And that's why it's a little bit weaker than otherwise, but still some really good contact from him, showing off that, as always, he's a very dangerous player. Oliger, however, has not really quite shown that he's a dangerous player, although we believe him to be just based off of last year and off of some of the attributes that he's shown off.
And he definitely got a hold of that one. Shot it down the third base line towards Wisniewski, whose throw brings Vonderhaar off the bag. There's a hesitation from the third baseman, I think, that made him rush the throw in the end.
And this one takes a weird hop, I think, and that's why Wisniewski has to barehand it. Throw ends up high, and I think, you know, actually he may have just been able to stay on. Wasn't able to get the tag, but watch the right foot. Is he tiptoeing, maybe? Probably just a little bit off.
Yeah, looked like he was trying to sell the tag, if anything. So a runner on base. See how they score that one. It was a shot towards third, but probably a throwing error from Wisniewski. Tigers' first of the game. Tough play to make as well, converting from middle infield over to the corner. It's a much longer throw, to say the least, and you have to make it with the pace as well.
Certainly not his most natural position, but he's been playing fairly well there.
Yeah, I saw a really good defensive play in the first inning. That one is sent skyward and looks like it's going to just get onto the edge of the outfield. Brought in nonetheless by Montreza. 2 away now in the fifth.
And Hans now up to 35 pitches. I'd imagine we see him go roughly into around the 50s, as this one is, I believe, going to be foul.
Yeah, runner was going there. Looked like maybe a hit and run situation for Scott. Said now it's an 0-2 count. Runner still on first.
Yeah, that one just a foot outside the line, but Hans has been doing a really good job in this game. Seems to have found whatever mechanical tweak he needed to find to get that little bit of vertical movement back on his pitches, and it's made him a completely different pitcher, even from the one that we saw on Friday, who's fairly effective as is. Able to get some weak contact on that night game. He's done a little bit of that here, but also shown some strikeout stuff, as that is weakly hit towards Montreza and should be an easy out, and it is.
So Babson goes quietly in the fifth, and the Tigers hold on to a 4-3 lead as their bats come up in the bottom half of the inning. In just a moment, you're watching the Tiger Network. Chamet going to lead off for Trinity here to start the bottom half of the fifth, looking to build on a 4-3 lead against Babson College. See that average slowly creeping back up for the Sugar Land, Texas native. Hunter Salem got away with that one there, I think, as he just got Chamet out in front of the off-speed pitch. Looking to send that one over the right field wall. Herrera nearly did for Trinity. Bottom of the fourth, off of Salem. And I think Chamet took note of that, and he's going to look to drop this one in to the gap in left center, but DiMartino comes across to make the play, and there's one away in the fifth. And that at bat, Chamet really looked like he was trying to send it deep as opposed to just trying to get on base as a leadoff hitter. Saw something in Salem either in the last inning or in his at bat that he thought he could capitalize on. And if he can't, maybe this man can. Mason Meredith almost at a 400 average and nearing double-digit RBIs in the early season as well.
Certainly one of the hardest parts of this Tiger lineup to navigate. Although, as we continue to mention, I mean, really talent in every single position, 1 through 9. A guy like McDonald, who's been having an incredible season thus far and really showing off a lot of favorable attributes, is only able to get into the 8th spot, as that one is a nice defensive play out and left, but another bit of solid contact from Meredith.
Yeah, DiMartino is having himself a really good game defensively over in left. Called upon quite frequently as Meredith caught this one on the barrel of the bat.
And that is a very deep line drive as far as line drives go. And we'll see Michael Goodrich, who has been known to send balls over the left field fence himself.
Yeah, see if he can't add to the Tiger lead here. Everybody that's come up so far against Salem has given the ball a ride. The senior only making his 6th ever appearance for the Beavers. Beneficiary of a generous strike zone there.
Great job by Goodrich running that one out. And that's a really tight play, which we're going to have to see on replay here. You can see the big hop that this one takes makes it a little bit tougher on the third baseman to get to quickly. And then we'll see if he manages to get there. And I would say clearly he doesn't. So perhaps a bit of fortune there for the Tigers, as that is going to be the exit of Salem.
Yeah, and I think for Babson, Coach Noon really worried about Vonderhaar coming to the plate against Salem based off what he's seen so far, and he's going to make a change on the mound, and we'll give the new man a chance to warm up in just a moment. So the new man on the mound, Timothy Noon, is the son, we presume, of the coach for Babson. And there's going to be a really unfortunate play for Von der Aar. Noon comes in and gets his man. And the Tigers can't rally to add to their lead. We'll talk a little bit more about young Timothy when he comes back out for presumably the bottom of the 6th. We head to the 6th now on the Tiger Network. Number 2 Trinity leading number 6 Babson 4-3.
Back to the top of the 6th here with Hans on the mound. Hans, by my money, he's
Looked the best he has this season. Although he almost hits DiMartino there. Been impressed by what you've seen so far?
Yeah, absolutely. And looking back at the career stats, he's certainly maybe reclaimed some form that he had back as a sophomore when he had a 3.75 ERA over 12 innings. He's never really been a huge contributor for Trinity. Maybe in his senior season he can step up and get more time on the mound. He's already closing in on his most appearances in a season, which is 6. And that one comes off the handle of the bat, but it's sent out into center field for a leadoff single. DiMartino continues a good game all around. First time he's got on base, but he's made some terrific defensive plays in the outfield for Babson. And one of the areas that Hans has really been able to improve is limiting the walks that he gives up. He gave up the one hit batsman in this matchup, but in previous seasons he's had more walks than strikeouts. His sophomore season had a 14 strikeout to 8 walk ratio. And he's looking more towards that version of himself than maybe we saw last year at any point.
And we certainly know the bullpen spots are there for the taking. And if Hans can show off enough here, you have to imagine these are fairly high leverage situations against a very good team. Maybe able to put his stamp on something and definitively claim the bridge between whoever the starter is and Matt Thomas, who seems to be the designated closer, or I guess in this day and age, just the highest leverage reliever that the Tigers have.
Yeah, this Babson team, probably the best team that the Tigers will see maybe until postseason play, based off of what they were able to do last season. Of course, they're ranking entirely preliminary. This is their opening series of the year, but they showed why they are rated so highly with the win yesterday. As Hans gets another strikeout swinging. And there is one away here.
And just to your point, you would probably expect, knowing nothing else about them, if I said, hey, the number 2 team is going to face off against the number 6 team in a 3-game set, you'd say, okay, well, it's probably a reasonable outcome that number 2 team takes 2 games, the number 6 team takes 1 game because, they're both really good teams. So as far as the pattern is holding so far, it seems pretty fair on both teams. And I know in another poll, Babson is ranked number 29, I believe. So I think number 6 a lot closer to their true talent level than just top 30. Hans is making some quick work of this lineup, though.
Yeah, the bottom of the order not quite producing at the moment for Babson like it's able to do for Trinity, as McClendon now 0 for 3 with 3 Ks in his collegiate debut. Brings us to Thomas LaFamme. Back to the top of the order. LaFamme 2 for 3 with a couple of singles. Yeah, the 2-1 split was what happened last year when Babson came to town in the early parts of the year to start off their season. Trinity looking to replicate that success and finish this one out here. Still plenty of baseball to be played, but Tigers lead 4-3 at the moment. I think a reason, you see such a disparity in the number 29 versus the number 6 is they did lose a couple of key contributors from their College World Series team last year. Michael Gennaro was their ace for the entirety of the 2019 season. He's graduated. As out number 3 comes quickly for Hans, who makes quick work of the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Babson. So we head to the bottom of the 6th. Tigers still lead 4-3. You're watching the Tiger Network. Six, 7, and 8 due up for Trinity here in the bottom of the 6th, facing off against Timothy Noon, who we were briefly mentioning at the end of the 5th inning. We believe to be son of head coach Matt Noon for Babson, who's in his 17th season, the all-time wins leader for the Beavers, with a 371, 265, and 2 record. Didn't know we tied in baseball, but Northeast is a different beast.
As Pettit clearly went around on that last one. It seems like Noon has a plan, and he's going to stick to it, working on that outside left edge of the plate. Almost kind of sidearm fastball. And then from a slightly higher arm slot, the slider coming in. So it should be pretty easy to pick up and differentiate between the two. But if he can keep that command on the left edge of the plate, might make things difficult for the Trinity hitters. Just have to wait and see.
Just misses that time. It's his first appearance for Babson. Went to high school at St. Sebastian's School. He is listed as a pitcher / utility player. Gets a big cut that time from Pettit. The ball well positioned off the plate to get the full count now against the Tiger catcher.
And you can definitely see Pettit is sitting on the fastball. Seems like he's already picked up the difference in arm slots and doesn't get all of that one there. It's going to go into foul territory, maybe playable, and it is. And that's a really nice defensive play by Matt Sullivan out there, and those things can really make the difference. Saw one go awry for McDonald in left field earlier, so.
Yep, just gets the glove underneath it. Good work from him on the slide.
Very solid.
It's been good defense generally from Babson. Wisniewski at the plate now has the game's only error on the throw from third base. At the plate, though, has been a different story. 1 for 1, and he sends this one up the middle, but it's going to be fielded by Noon himself. Flips over to first base for out number 2.
And Noon has gotten several quick outs and really hasn't allowed anything hard hit yet, or hasn't seemed in danger of doing so either. So as long as he can keep that command in check, it seems like things might be able to go fairly well for him. It's a pretty simple arsenal. It's not one that looks to blow you away, but it's that old Grover Cleveland Alexander philosophy of just send it down and away, down and away, down and away, and it's not really much that even the best of hitters can do with that if you're hitting your spots.
It's another swing and a miss that time from McDonald. That one came a little bit higher up in the zone, but nonetheless, Tiger left fielder can't make contact.
Yeah, he's owning that left edge of the plate right now.
That one sent foul. McDonald stays alive. But looking to get through 4 outs in less than 15 pitches potentially here if he can retire the side in order. Here comes the 1-2. Just misses the outside corner. McDonald just battling here with the 2-2 count.
And that was certainly a chance to make Noon pay as he left that, we'll call it a slider, some sort of breaking ball, looks like a slider to me, over the plate rather than catching that edge. And this time McDonald doesn't swing on it, misses again, but gets the strikeout as payment for it. And see where the catcher sets up. He has to move inside, but just catches enough of the strike zone and he gets away with it.
Yeah, terrific work from first-year pitcher Timothy Noon. Gets 4 outs in 14 pitches so far. I'm sure we'll see him coming out in the bottom of the 7th. For now, we head to the top half of the inning. Babson trailing 3-4 in San Antonio. Matt Sullivan to lead off here for the Beavers in the top of the 7th. Haven't had any action on the scoreboard in quite some time. Tigers retook the lead in the bottom of the 4th. A couple of scoreless frames later, it stays 4-3, and Hans looking to keep it that way. I think it's a swing and a miss that time from Sullivan.
And to your point, the game certainly promised a lot more on the offensive side than it's delivered so far. Even with a guy like Hunter Salem coming in, who we saw 4 balls all hit really hard off of him, nothing came of it. And then seeing Timothy Noon come in and deal with things and shut down the Tiger offense, and a guy like Hans has come in and really settled this game down for the Tigers. And we've seen it become much more of a low energy sort of
Sunday morning game, isn't it?
Sunday morning game. There you go. That's probably the best way to put it. It's a difficult one to describe. Fireworks early, and then I guess you could call it a reliever showdown, but that doesn't sound too exciting.
Call that Division III baseball heavyweight matchup. That sounds pretty exciting. And a big swinging strike 3 as Brendan Hans continues to be excellent on the mound for Trinity. His 5th strikeout now.
And the movement on that one, very sharp downward. You know, he usually relies on sort of this, you know, almost like a 3-9 rotation of the ball, but today he's throwing it in the way that it's like a 1-7 almost. And it's just been so deadly on these hitters. And when you're able to get the sinker working on the opposite plane, you know, if you can make those movements on the clock face line up like an X, it's just about impossible. You know, a guy who does it really well at the major league levels, Blake Trinan, gets that power sinker, power slider combo working.
You're really starting to show your age there, Sam, referencing the clock face. People don't know what that looks like anymore.
That's true. It's probably true.
Just check the phone for the time as Wisniewski is helping Hans make quick work of this one in the 7th, out number 2 after the soft line drive to third base.
Tough pitch to get to, jamming you on the inside, and Wisniewski showing out with the glove over at third. Seen the arm be a problem for him, but we bring up Jake Oliger, who hitless today and on the season.
Yeah, was gifted a walk earlier in this game in the 3rd inning, but 3 of those is all he has to show for his efforts on the weekend as he takes another big cut and a miss. Just looks all out of sorts to start the season.
Just doesn't seem like he's seeing the ball well at all.
Guess if there's a time to be cold with the bat in your hand, that you want to start slow and get to a roaring pace by the end of the year. Now behind in the count, though. Strike number 2 comes past him. He was one of those players placed on the Division III players to watch list. Trinity had quite a few as well, as that's ball 2. For Trinity, it was Natoli, Tyndall, Cater, Chamet, Meredith, Goodrich. And for Babson, Harrington and Oliger. We've seen Harrington certainly put on a show this weekend, but Oliger continues to struggle. Good work that time from Brandon Hans. Gets a couple of strikeouts in the inning, and the side goes in order. And that brings up the Trinity bats after the 7th inning stretch here in San Antonio. Montreza to lead off for Trinity here after the 7th inning something. That wasn't a stretch. Nobody got up out of their seat.
Supposed to be a stretch.
The middle of the 7th inning. Suddenly lost its allure.
And a new pitcher on the mound, Ryan Vatcher, as Babson looks to move to their high leverage guys. Noon did his job, got his quick outs. And Vatcher now in to try and presumably hand things over to Gallagher, who will presumably hand things over to Leak if things go well. All speculation at the moment, of course, but that seems to be the way that Babson wants to play things. And Vatcher has gotten one appearance this season. It was an exciting one, you can say that about it. Had one walk, gave up 2 hits, gave up 2 earned runs, and nearly struck out the side. So it was all action for him. He was the one that gave up the big home run as well. So we'll see if he can do a little bit better here today after seeing some action. Montreza fouls one off there. Definitely the power pitcher archetype, I would say. Relying a lot on the big fastball and not worrying about the command too much as a reliever. Oh, man.
That is some play from the first baseman, Matthew Valente, who got it over the shoulder, diving back into the outfield.
And this is the second really good play we've seen from him. And that is just spectacular. It's a bit of a risk because if that one drops, there's nobody covering first. It works out for him in the end, and this one is skied behind the plate, and no one has a play on it, except maybe a couple of people in the stands.
Tiger order turns over here for Michael Herrera, who nearly sent one over the left field wall. We certainly thought he did. His last time up has a walk and a single as well. Another one fouled off behind the plate. Quickly behind in the count, 0-2. As far as leadoff hitters go, he's got more power than maybe you'd expect, but he's also very consistent at getting on base. He's come out aggressive in this at-bat. And Vatcher's 0-2 offering is sent out into right field. Another single for Michael Herrera. It's just fun to say, isn't it?
It certainly is, and he's a fun player to watch as well.
And that sets up nicely for Rafe Chamet, who's 1 for 3 on the day, had the single back in the first. And be a good a time as any to add to the 1-run advantage the Tigers have been holding on to for 3 innings now.
Be a nice time for a Rafe Chamet special. Pull a ground ball into the corner and then get yourself a triple.
I believe it was last weekend when he moved into a tie for first place all-time in triples. I sat in the stands for that one, and the man he shares it with, whose name escapes me at the moment, was sat right behind the plate as well, and was sure to let everyone know. And that time, though, he sends it out into left field, and it's a chance to double up as Herrera got a bad read off the bat of that one. And there's another double play for Babson, who get out of the 7th inning and face the minimum.
And that one, I think, is maybe a part and parcel of the wind. One that you thought would drop just floats its way on out there. into left field, and
it's still 4-3 as we head into the 8th inning. This one coming down to the wire. 2 frames to go. We'll see who comes out on the mound for Trinity in just a moment. So Coach Scandal sticks with Hance on the mound. We'll see for how much longer, but he's been terrific since coming in. He drops that right on the inside corner of the plate against Valente. Valente had a great diving play in the bottom of the 7th, over the shoulder, diving out into shallow right field. And he's behind in the count now, 0-2.
And that breaking ball has just been absolutely deadly from Hance over the course of this outing, and honestly has only gotten better as he seems to have gotten more and more of a feel for it. Nothing the hitters have been able to do with it. And he wastes a pitch trying to get a chase there, but it's been a thing of beauty to watch, and perhaps staking his claim to the spot right behind Matt Thomas. If he can keep this inning together, it'll certainly be a strong argument made.
Valente sends that one down the line foul as well into the Babson bullpen. If you're just joining us with no context, it was early scoring for both teams. Last runs came across the plate were in the bottom of the 4th as Herrera makes everyone hold their breath, but brings that one in for out number 1. It was back and forth early on. Babson took the lead 1-0 on a solo home run from Harrington in the 1st, before the Tigers answered back with some solid all-around hitting with 2 runs in the bottom of the inning. And then a couple straight 1-run frames from Babson were answered by 2 runs in the Tiger 4th. And here we are as Hance doesn't get across the cover in time. The throw was there, I think, on time. Hance just couldn't find the back.
Yeah, I think he had to take his eyes off of where he was stepping for just a second and misjudge, and then had to take that extra step over. You can see him kind of slow up there as if he thought the bag was closer than it was, and then he has to make a big stretch over and unable to get there in time.
Yeah, couldn't help himself out with his defense that time. So runner on first and 1 away.
Pretty unfortunate one to give up as well, just because it was a checked swing. Wasn't even one that the batter wanted to offer at.
Nevertheless, Aiden Scott stands on first. This series tied up at 1 game apiece after Trinity took the opener to extend their hot start to the year. And there's a gapper sent out into right center field. We'll see what the runner holds up at 3rd, and they get the runner at 2nd. Trying to stretch it into a double. DiMartino caught on the base paths.
And that's a mistake there, but it's also an incredible throw from Mason Meredith, who gets to this one fairly quickly. It could have gone past him, but he uses his wheels and then this throw right here to the cutoff man. It's just perfect, and Montreza does enough. Tag comes down, and there's no doubt about it in anyone's mind.
So now 2 away here in the 8th, and the tying run waits on third base for Jack Ward, who is 0 for 2 and was hit by a pitch in the 4th. A couple of strikeouts either side of that. And on deck, McClendon 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. An area of the lineup where Trinity has been able to comfortably get swings and misses, and there's another one there behind in the count now, 1-2. Huge opportunity now for Babson, despite losing the runner on second, to tie this one up.
All it takes is one.
83rd offering from the game of Hance gets beyond the Tiger left fielder, and that scores the tying run. There was a substitute made out in left. Adam Jew came into the game without us noting it, and he was aggressive in his attempt to bring that one in and keep the Tigers out in front. Just evaded his diving attempt.
And that's not a bad pitch. It's a bit of a hanging breaking ball. But that is, let's call it a fairly aggressive attempt to get to that ball, which maybe you just should have let drop and try to make the throw. But either way, it was going to be a tough one. And McClendon will stand in with this inning not quite over yet.
So that's the first run we've seen since the bottom of the 4th. First run for Babson since the 3rd. They've yet to get a multi-run inning, but so far it's been enough to at least draw level with Trinity here in San Antonio. Hance now gives up his first earned run of the game. And an inning that could have been over a little bit sooner had he made the play at first base. We've got a pinch hitter in for Babson as well. Your guess is as good as mine on the last name.
I believe we went with Burichka last night, but we don't have any pronunciation guides, so we're sorry if we're getting that horribly wrong.
Sean stands in now, down in the count 1-2.
We can at least get that part, eh?
And we're not going to have to deal with it again for a while as he goes down looking on the Hance delivery on the inside part of the plate. And Babson goes down here in the 8th, but not before they get the tying run across on the RBI single from Jack Ward. So we'll head to the bottom half of the inning. Tigers need at least one to go back out in front. And we'll see who they're up against on the mound for the Beavers when we come back. After Rafe Schmidt flew out into the double play to end the 7th, it's going to be 3-4-5 due up for Trinity here in the 8th. New man on the mound, Jack Terrio for the Beavers. Senior righty comes in now with the game knotted up at 4. Meredith 2 for 3 on the day, sends this one out into shallow center field. Going to be a tough play for anyone, and it drops in between the shortstop and the center fielder. Meredith gets on base for the 3rd time today.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not sure if Oliger can get to it, but if he can, he really needs to be calling this one. That's his ball to take, and I think he just has too deep a run for it, and that's why you see the gap come in there, although it looked like to me maybe at the last second Perkle called him off, who's come in now at shortstop after what I believe was a pinch hit by Briechka.
So Goodrich now to the plate, had the sack bunt, and he's going to be a hit and run situation here, and he gets away with the wild swing and miss.
Sometimes you just got to give it the best you can, and he certainly was going to try and make contact with that one, even though it was just about at his elbow pad.
Goodrich had the sack bunt in the 1st inning. That led to those 2 runs coming across. It's going 1 for 2 since.
And you know, I think he's undone another button.
He did get a hit. I don't know what his theory is on the sack bunt.
Yeah, I think the sack bunt maybe didn't count, but I think the hit, that's another button gone for sure. Every game we learn a little bit more about, the rules of the goody button system. We're actually going to get a conference here with the hitters and Coach Scannell, which is a bit unusual.
They've already put on the hit and run, and they've already used Goodrich to bunt in this game. See what they're up to here. Meredith on second base after the steal. Represents the go-ahead run here in the 8th.
Might seem a bit on the nose to bunt the runner over after that, but looks like that's exactly what he's going to try and do.
The bat has certainly been taken out of Goodrich's hand pretty frequently today, showing a little bit of unselfishness at the plate, despite being the designated hitter. Trinity just has to be careful here not to do anything silly on the base paths. They've gotten away with a few errors in the small things of this game so far. They won't, I don't think, the rest of the way. Goodrich can't make meaningful contact with that bunt attempt. And he'll have to swing now with the 1-2 count.
Yeah, and I'm not particularly a fan of this. With no outs, taking the bat out of, what you've said is one of your best hitters because you're putting him in at DH. You put him that high in the lineup as well, so we'll see if it ends up working out.
He's going to have to work with a 1-2 count up against Terrio.
We'll see if the approach changes with 2 strikes as well. I would imagine that it doesn't, but you never know.
It's ultimately just a waste of an at-bat there for Goodrich.
Yeah, I mean, at that, what's the point then? If you're going to waste some strikes just sitting back on pitches trying to bunt them, and then you're going to tell the guy, have a shot at it with 2 strikes. I can't condone that personally, but I understand that it's a particular brand of baseball that maybe I'm a little biased against. Either way, Vonderhaar will step up with a man on second, and few players that you would want to be stepping up from Tigers past or present in this moment other than him.
About 429 on the season. 0 for 1 today. Had the sac fly in the first, walk in the fourth, and grounded out in the fifth inning. Pettit waits on deck for Trinity. It's going to be 1-2-3 due up for Babson in the top of the ninth. Will they be playing from behind or trying to get a lead of their own? That rides on the Trinity bats here in the eighth. Vonderar ahead in the count 2-0. And the pitch is fouled straight back, offering number 9 of the appearance for Jack Theriot.
And you might be a little surprised to see William Gallagher appear in this game for Babson, but I have to imagine they're going to hand things over to Leake, who's only made one appearance so far over the course of the series, if they're still in with a shout of winning this game. But for Trinity, it's an interesting question because Thomas seems like he should be available, perhaps. But if things go into extra innings, do you just ride Thomas? At what point do you go to somebody else? And then at that point, who is it? Because you would think for sure Leake is able to go multiple innings after not throwing many pitches last night. So it wouldn't seem to be a problem for Babson until fairly deep into the game. But for Trinity, that choke point might come into play slightly sooner as Vonderhaar strikes out, and it's not what you want to see in these clutch moments.
Yeah, far from his best at-bat. It was good pitching from the man on the mound for Babson. And, of course, another factor, this game's certainly more important in the overall scheme of things for Trinity, but they play again Tuesday. It's a pretty quick turnaround after a 3-game series. They're going to be at Hardin-Simmons for that one, 5 o'clock first pitch.
Certainly a worthwhile question to ask. Maybe that's where Samuel Conte comes into play, and you just think that maybe Hardin-Simmons not quite as difficult a series as Endicott or Babson. Maybe he's able to get you through a couple there, and you don't have to worry about it, but certainly going to be in the back of the mind of Tim Scannell.
Pettit sends this one to the shortstop, fielded comfortably and thrown over to first base, and Meredith's leadoff single is wasted by the Tigers. They strand him at second base, and this game stays tied, headed to the ninth inning, where Babson will have the top of the order due up when we come back. So an early season clutch scenario for these two teams as they enter the ninth inning, all knotted up at 4 runs apiece. And Hance up at 87 pitches, comes back out for the potential final frame, and he gets first pitch swinging. Thomas LaFamme to ground out to second base. Montreza to Von der Aar for out number 1. It's 1-2-3 for Babson as Sullivan digs in. Harrington waits ominously on deck. This one may stay playable for Pettit as he goes back towards the fence. Based purely on crowd reaction, I'm going to say didn't bring that one in.
Seems like a solid guess.
Oh, and 2 count now for Sullivan, who's struck out his last 3 times to the plate. Hance would really appreciate another one of those here with the 0-2 count. And he misses the plate significantly there on the breaking ball. You wonder when fatigue will start to set in for Brendan Hance, who's had what's probably his best collegiate outing on the mound.
And certainly by my memory his longest, which continues here. And really it's all about that slider breaking ball. It's just been absolute death on righties today. They've not known what to do with it. Coming out of that arm slot.
Now. 8 strikeouts, no walks for Hance. One final hurdle here to hand it over to the Tiger Bats in the bottom of the 9th. And it's a big one. Sean Harrington hitting .429 in the early season. Had the big solo home run to start off the scoring in this game. That was against Cardone. It's a much different task now against Hance. Lined out to Wisniewski, and then another line out and a pop out since that home run. He's made solid contact pretty consistently. And Hance, I think, maybe wisely pitching to him quite cautiously here. Hits the strike. And with Jake Oliger waiting on deck, I think the Tigers would much rather pitch to him the way the trends have been heading in this series.
Without a doubt. Hance, though, just about looked like he jammed him again. And he did, so we're going to go to a full count here. And Hance has made 2 really spectacular pitches. I wasn't sure he went all the way around there, but just barely. Good call by the umpire.
Massive pitch on the way for Brendan Hance. The 3-2 offering. And it's sent out into right field. Going back is Chomet, and it drops just in front of him for a base hit. Another good piece of hitting there from Harrington, keeping the 9th inning alive for the Beavers, and handing it over to cleanup hitter Jake Oliger, we assume.
And this is that same pitch, but a little bit lower, and Hance able to deal with it, get himself extended a little bit more. We'll see if Oliger can reverse his status from scapegoat to hero.
And that one certainly looked like an opportunity to move into scoring position for Harrington, but he stays at first base. As Pettit tracked down the pitch that time. And another big cut and a miss from Jake Oliger, who, if you gave him this situation last season, you'd feel very comfortable that he'd come through for you. Was named the 3rd-team All-Region in New England. This season so far has been a much different story for the big center fielder. Into triple-digit pitch count now for Brendan Hance. doing everything he can to hand this one to the Tiger Bats. Still tied at 4. 2-1 on its way, and he hits Jake Oliger, and that's going to be frustrating for the Tiger righty on the mound.
Yeah, and this one you can see just slips out and takes it on the back right shin, which is not the typical place you expect to get hit by a pitch. And Oliger remains hitless, but somehow has just managed to do certain things to stick around, or maybe it's luck, I don't know. But he'll hand it off to someone who's had a much better series in Matthew Valente, both defensively and offensively, and I think this is probably the call. And if there were ever a time for Matt Thomas to come into this game, you'd think now would be it. Looks like they're going to have a little bit more of a conversation about it. Maybe this is not quite the end yet.
It's the fine line between trusting the guy that's got you here. 100 pitches of really, really good work on the mound, and having to factor in the fatigue and the matchup as well coming up against Valente. Now with a couple of runners on base, does that affect how Hans is going to pitch to the batter here? He's going to stay on the mound.
Was able to make a compelling enough argument for himself.
And they're going to say that one came off the elbow pad of the hitter.
And Pettit's going to make the argument that he dipped into it. We're going to have to watch this one back. I think it may have just grazed him, but I mean, that is pretty tight, if there at all. Not sure Pettit has a case to make, though, about him leaning in.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about the call, the bases are loaded here for Babson in the 9th. And the Tigers are sticking with Hans on the mound, starting to show signs of fatigue, and Aiden Scott, hitting 2 for 4 on the day, has a chance to give the Beavers the lead for the first time since the 3rd inning. Good first pitch of the at-bat that time for Hans.
And you can see Hans working a little bit quicker here as things get more and more into that fatigue zone, but the slider is still there for him, and I would not be surprised to see him throw 3 straight and just try and get out of this inning. Pitching with intent right now.
The 0-2 on its way. And after a terrific start to the at-bat, it's going to be a 3rd straight hit batsman for Brendan Hance. And that brings home the go-ahead run here in the 9th inning. A very... I don't have words for it.
I mean, what do you say, right? Can't blame Hance. The guy is sitting on over 100 pitches.
I guess anticlimactic is the way I would put it. And another decent pitch to start the at-bat. The umpire not a fan of it, though. Drops that one off the outside corner of the plate. 2-0 now. And Steve Martino. Energy coming from the Beaver bench, and it should. So they now lead.
It's be pretty massive for them to steal 2 out of 3 from the number 2 team in the country. And Hance, who looked gassed about 4 at-bats ago, struggling with the command a little bit. He's going to get a talk with his shortstop real quick.
Yeah, you wonder if that's just stalling to get somebody ready, but you would have hoped that would have had somebody up and going already, but it's a 3-0 count here. Back against the wall for Hance, and he puts that one out over the plate for a 3-1 now. Bases are loaded.
Yeah, and you can visually see as the fatigue sets in, breaking ball's getting more and more horizontal and less vertical.
And he
Although
gets
that is a nice pitch there.
strike 2, despite DiMartino being halfway to first base by the time the umpire makes the call. It did probably just drop below the knee. It's going to be a payoff pitch here. Runners in motion, bases loaded in the ninth. Babson already has grabbed a 5-4 lead. They're looking to get their first multi-run inning of the game potentially here, and they do after ball 4 comes across from Hance.
And you got to question at this point, what are you leaving the guy in for?
And it's really disappointing as well for the senior on the mound, who had a terrific outing, and he's just left out to dry in the ninth.
Yeah, he got screwed.
We'll see who the Tigers turn to. Now down 2 in the ninth, bases still loaded, and 2 away. It'll be Jimmy Tatum when we come back in just a moment. So Tigers turn to Jimmy Tatum on the mound to face Jack Ward. Bases loaded, 2 away. Babson already grabbing the go-ahead pair of runs here in the ninth. It's all been with 2 outs for the Beavers.
It's been a hard pill to swallow for sure, if you're a Tiger fan. Tatum throws another ball there, and I think sometimes you can get yourself into situations where all decisions seem like the wrong one, and so you end up making no decision. And sometimes making no decision is worse than making any of them, even though they may all be not to your liking. And it seems to me from the warm-up pitches that Tatum didn't get much time in the bullpen, so brings to question at what point they started warming anybody up, or whether they just assumed that Hance would be good to go throughout the whole inning, even as the base runners stacked up.
Hance leaves the game. 6 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hit batters, 3 runs, all of them earned. And what was until this inning a terrific outing for him. And Tatum comes in and walks another run home. Tigers not making them earn it in this 9th inning.
And for Tatum, the excuses certainly more limited than they were for Hansen, who by the time he sent in his first run of the inning was already over 110 pitches in a relief outing.
I have another change in the Babson order at the 9 spot as Jack Perkle comes in. Tatum continues to miss the strike zone. 6 out of 7 pitches now since coming in. And that's going to be all that she wrote for Jimmy Tatum. So he comes in, walks a runner home, and he's going to be replaced. We'll see by who in just a moment. So Trinity turns to one of the nation's leaders in saves this season, Matt Thomas. Of course, not a save situation. The Tigers will hope it's a situation for him to pick up a win. As his first pitch looks like all of the offerings from Tatum and the last few from Hance before that. Off the plate for ball 1. Or ball 3, of course, because Tatum left the count at 2-0. And it's going to be another gifted run to the Beavers, who now lead 8-4. As the wheels have fallen off for Trinity here in the 9th. All with 2 outs as well.
Just shell-shocked, to be honest with you.
You got the ground out to second base, then the strikeout swinging, and Harrington dropped the single out into right field, and since then it's been hit by pitch, hit by pitch, hit by pitch, walk, walk, walk.
That's a brutal sequence.
Thomas just looking to get this one to the Trinity bats in some capacity. We were hoping it would be with a good chance to win it, and instead it's going to have to be a concerted effort just to come back in the bottom half of the ninth. The 1-2 pitch is fouled off. And there's going to be no play on that ball for Trinity. Is that one too difficult to deal with for Herrera? Came up with it, but LaFamme very quick out of the box, the leadoff hitter. And the lead now swells to 5 for Babson, who before this inning had scored a single run in the first, second, third, and eighth. And they have, really by way of Trinity's own struggles on the mound, blown up for 5 here in the ninth.
Yeah, it's not been down to the hitting so much, if at all, as this inning finally comes to a close mercifully. And we will likely see Henry Leak on the mound for the Beavers in what will be a tall task for the Tigers.
Yeah, it won't be a safe situation as the Tiger bats come to the plate in the ninth. Babson gets 1 hit, and they turn that into 5 runs here in the ninth. Tigers trail 9-4. Be right back. So as expected on the mound for Babson, Leak comes in to try and see this one out. Henry Leak, the junior from Burbank, California.
And that looked like it might have caught Wisniewski, but he's not making a plea for it. In the timeout, we'll get a look at the replay, and got an argument there.
It's just as much contact as we saw on the elbow guard to extend the last inning.
And then nearly hits him in the shin. So Leak not showing his best command. He didn't show his best stuff last night. If you've watched him on video from last season, you would note a fastball with a little more velocity and also a breaking ball with a little bit more action and bite on it. He's able to get through the appearance cleanly despite not having his best stuff. See if he's able to do so here today, and it looks like So far, so good for the Tigers.
Yeah, the Tigers have gotten good production from the bottom of the order. Now, a little bit of a change up as McDonald came out, who is hitting in the 8th spot. We'll see who comes to the plate here. But Wisniewski now 2 for 3. Montreza 1 for 3 with an RBI.
It's going to be Seth Jones.
Jones takes strike 1 in a pinch hitting appearance off the bench here. Tigers need to string some hits together or be the beneficiaries of some lackluster command on the mound.
Yeah, and you have to imagine the reason that it's Seth Jones over somebody like maybe MJ Metz is for the plate discipline, as that's something that he's generally pretty good at. Had some really good takes there, 2 in a row.
This series came into the 9th inning in the balance as this count goes 3-1. Series tied at 1 and the game tied at 4 for the Trinity pitching. Struggled in the 9th and gave up 5 runs, and it seems a long way back at the moment for the Tigers, who are doing their best to try and rally in what will most likely be the game's final frame. See if the locks of Seth Jones have anything to say about that.
He's certainly trying to battle through it as we reach a full count.
Check out the runner. Wisniewski at first, led off the inning with a single. Henry Leak steps off and takes his time here before the payoff pitch. Here it comes, and it's chopped towards second base. One could be 2 for the Beavers, but Jones beats it out. It's a fielder's choice, 1 away now in the 9th.
And you'd imagine a pinch runner would come in for Jones after that. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the Tigers' preferred pinch runner, Adam Jew, has already entered and left the game.
May just not be enough options on the bench, and we'll see another change from Montreza as Blake Johnson will come in. Johnson was one of the people vying for that left field spot. Was unable to nail it down with some good hitting early in the season, but we know he has some thunder in the bat.
Yeah, if the Tigers can turn the order over here with maybe just 1 away, we've got Herrera, Shamet, Meredith, Goodrich, Von der Aert, all due up in order. I'll give you your best chance to get back into this game. Johnson, another patient hitter at the plate. A really good on-base percentage his first year. Now with the 2-2 count against Henry Leak. That one way outside. It's going to be another full count for the Babson reliever.
And at the very least, they're making him work for it. No easy at-bats so far for Henry Leak.
And there's a walk for Trinity, so they do turn the order over with a couple on and just 1 away here in the 9th.
And I would not be surprised to see him get a quick hook, although this is likely to be a pitching conference and an ultimatum.
And we'll take this time just to wish the women's basketball team good luck. They're about to tip off in the SCAC championship game. If you want to tune into that one after the conclusion here, head over to scacsports.com. You'll find the link there. Facing off against the Austin College Kangaroos for the 3rd time this season. So far 2-0 against them, so hopefully that can continue and the ladies can bring home the title. Back here, though, in San Antonio, it's Trinity trailing 9-4. Couple on and one away here in the ninth. Back to the top of the order with Michael Herrera. And we'd love to see some of the power off his bat that we've seen in glimpses. Had a great opening weekend to the season with 3 home runs and is yet to put one out of the park here at home.
We thought he might have had a hold of one earlier in the game, but it died out at the warning track. And that one going to be foul. Leak not showing nearly his best stuff here, and I would imagine, just given the way that Matt Noon has shown himself to coach, that there's already somebody warming up in the bullpen for him, and that was, there you go, you've got, man, I can't quite see the number. It looks like it might be number 8, Riley Tevens, who got the win yesterday. And that goes all the way to the backstop. Seth Jones can make his way to third, and I would imagine this doesn't go on too much longer unless Leak can pull something out of a hat for this one.
Three-one pitch on the way to Herrera, and he fouls it off. It's going to be the third straight payoff pitch. Johnson, you see at second base, he's able to work a walk from a similar situation. Now runners on second and third for the Tigers shortstop, and he sends this one out directly at the second baseman.
That's a spectacular play.
Score one, but it was a shot off the bat, brought in and made to look comfortable by Thomas LaFamme.
You can see the range of the second baseman to get there is impressive, and then also to make the backhand grab. Moves the Tigers into warm-up of Fat Lady singing, though. As we get Rafe Chalmette at the plate. He's been known to be clutch before. Could he continue his reputation here?
And got the single back in the first, came around to score, and has been quiet since, including grounding into a double play and flying into a double play. Tigers don't have 2 outs to give here in the ninth, as they've got one back off a couple fielders' choices and a walk. And they are down to their final strike here, in danger of dropping a series for the first time this season. Came into yesterday's game 8-0, the best start to a season in Trinity history. In danger of leaving today's game 8-2. Count now goes to 2-2. Chalmette again just trying to stay alive. This one gets out of play for another foul ball. Trinity won the series against the Beavers last year. The Beavers, though, went all the way to the College World Series, whereas the Tigers fell in the regional. And they're looking to flip the script here early on in the season. It's going to be another full count for Leak, who's made himself work in this ninth inning.
It's about as much drama as you can imagine for a 4-run lead.
The payoff pitch is going to be grounded over to second base again, and it's going to be another comfortable play for LaFamme. And the number 6 Babson College Beavers take the series here in San Antonio in what was a tremendously close game throughout. Ended up in the ninth, really flattering the Beavers after the Tiger pitching struggled late on. Sam, you've seen this whole series start to finish, and you've seen the ups and downs of it from a Trinity perspective. You just want to give us a quick sum up.
Absolutely. I mean, good, solid game on Friday. We saw Matt Thomas come in and be absolutely clutch, and that was really what saved the game for Trinity. And then yesterday, once again, some bullpen issues heading into the late stages of the game, and that's continued to be the Tigers' weakness again and again. And it's something that they're really going to have to shore up if they want to be one of these top teams in the country. The offense is clearly there. I mean, we even saw it here when we were thinking, well, it could happen, right? 5 runs in an inning? Yeah, sure, why not? This is a very good Trinity team. So it's a really tough one to take, especially today. Brendan Hance, I thought, was phenomenal. I don't think he deserves any blame for this one. I think it's a shameful display of decision making. As a coach, your job is to make decisions, and if you stand there and you look at it and you go, well, I've got this bad option, or I've got this bad option, or I've got this bad option, and you choose none of them and you just let things continue on as they are, I think that you've failed as a coach. And so that's where I think this one rests. I think that Trinity is going to have to, it's going to be a long couple of days before they get back at it against Hardin Simmons, which I think should be a bounce-back game for them. But, yeah, just a really, really tough one to take, and I think Trinity could have made a statement of intent here about how they were absolutely, without a doubt, one of the top teams in the country and someone to beat, and now they've been beaten pretty soundly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning turned afternoon. And again, remind you of the SCAC Championship for women's basketball tipping off in just about 6 minutes. And head to scacsports.com to watch the Tiger ladies in action. Hopefully they can bring that one home. For Trinity, for now, for myself, Ryan Figert, for Sam McWhorter, and Josh Maxagimba in the studio, thank you so much for joining us this weekend. Trinity falls to the number 6 Babson Beavers 9-5, and the visitors take the series. Have a good rest of your weekend. Adios.